Hello, it's Phil Thatch and I'm here at the UTC Sports Complex where today I'm going to be photographing beach volleyball with the Canon R6. I've got the 24-70 and the 70-200 and a couple of other lenses over in the car. I'm not sure which ones I'll use, definitely the first two though. So let's get started. I started out using the 24-70 and as you can see it's really bright out today, and I was able to shoot at ISO 100 wide open at 2.8, and my shutter speed was 1/6400th of a second. So that was really cool. Shot a whole lot with the 24-70. Let's take a look at those. Okay, I have a lot of pictures to show you from the volleyball, so I won't stay on any of them too awful long. You can see up here in the top left what lens was used. I'm using mostly the 24-70 f2.8 and the focal length. And also you can see I'm almost always at ISO 100, wide open at 2.8 and 1/6400th of a second. These Canon lenses, you don't need to stop them down to get good looking pictures, and you get your best separation and your fastest shutter speed when you shoot them wide open. So I shot wide open as much as possible. I like to get the sea in the background. That's the Ingle Stadium wall in the background there, and it has the Chattanooga Sea on it quite a bit. A lot of action at the net, and I was sitting at the base of the net. On one side of the net is just a net support, and the other side of the net there's a scorer's stand, and sometimes I was under the scorer's stand and sometimes I was right beside it, but you have to stay pretty close. Whichever side Chattanooga was on in the white jerseys, that's what side of the net I would shoot from. And to the left, the light was not as good as it was to the right. You can see their shadows are going to the right. So if Chattanooga was playing on the right side of the net, the light was a little bit better. There are 3 courts there, and I was shooting on the far left one at first, and now I'm shooting on the middle one, and the light is a little bit better, as you can see, on the right hand side than the left. Got some ball compression here. I was using mechanical shutter. That's not distortion. That is actual ball compression on this 1/6400th of a second shot. And like I say, I shot ISO 100 wide open 2.8 and 1/6400 on almost every one of these shots. And you can really get some nice wide angle shots, 28 millimeters here, that brings in a lot of the action. And what I've found is, now this one is 61 millimeters, and in between, when they take a break, the coach would sit down and talk to the players, which I thought was really cool to kind of capture this shot. This is a shot from the kind of the baseline behind the Chattanooga players, which I wanted to get the Chattanooga players' faces in as many shots as I could, but I thought shooting from back here would be pretty interesting for a little while. And now I'm back in my regular position, and you can see I'm still shooting ISO 100 f2.8, 1/6400th of a second. Every once in a while I would bump into my ISO dial and bump the ISO up, or even bump it into auto ISO every once in a while. Love that wide angle shot there, but I need to, as you can see, I'm at ISO 160 here, so I've accidentally bumped the camera into auto ISO during this serve shot. And next time I do this, I will lock my exposure settings. There is a lock button on the R6, so when I bump it, it doesn't mess it up. As you can see, I'm at ISO 200 here, so I've either bumped the ISO dial to 200 or to auto, which I'll have to correct. Now, in my photos, I don't get super close-ups. I like to get the entire player in the shot, and that makes things not look as good if you're looking at these pictures on a cell phone on a really, really small screen. They look much better on a larger screen. I'm looking at them now on a 4K 27-inch monitor, and on that size screen, it looks really good. But if you're looking at these on a cell phone with a really small screen, things might look too small in the frame. But I like the full body shots and try to get the ball in the shot instead of just up close shots. That's my preference. Look right there on the line to make this save here at 1/64 f2.8 and ISO 100, 26 millimeters. Jumping up to get that shot. I like she's way off the ground. I like the sand flying up. Pretty cool. 24 millimeters, a nice wide shot. 54 millimeters here, same player. And now on the other side, same player serving. And you can see again, the ISO is not at 100, so I've bumped it again. I really need to lock my exposure setting. But every once in a while, I would shoot something else, and I needed to slow my shutter speed down. So I would have to, when I do that, I'll have to remember to unlock my exposure settings and zip it down to whatever shutter speed that I need. This girl number 14, I've got some pictures of her serving, and she gets way off the ground when she serves. Still using the 24-70. And there is number 14 serving, like I was talking about a moment ago. And as you can see, she gets way off the ground when she serves in this 59mm shot. Lots and lots of action. Gosh, there was so much sun on this day. It was great. And you know, I thought it was going to be really harsh and difficult to shoot, but it actually turned out to be pretty easy. The photos ended up looking really good. It wasn't too harsh. I did have to lower the highlights in these a little bit to make them look a little bit smoother. Straight out of the camera, the highlights were a little too bright and made the photos look harsh, but it didn't take much editing to get the pictures to look good. Now this one on the left-hand side of the court, I did have to brighten this entire player up because she was basically in shadow. That's another ball compression shot. All right, here's some more action at the net. Really cool to be able to get the players on both sides of the net working the net, full body shots with a nice wide 24mm shot. I think those look really cool. And then after a while, I switched over, and just for a different perspective, because a lot of my shots were pretty similar, I switched over to the 70-200 2.8, and I used the same settings, 1/6400th, ISO 100, and wide open at 2.8. Okay, here is the first shot with the 70-200. I shot with it for a while, and this is one of those shots where I lowered my shutter speed down to 1/2000th to make this photograph. They were backlit in this shot, so 1/2000th worked better than 1/6400th, and these are the players talking to the coach during a timeout, 163mm. By now, I'm on the court to the far right, and during the timeout, this photograph was made of somebody playing on the middle court, but I was all the way over at the far right, so that is something I definitely could not do with the 24-70, but with the 70-200, I could make this 187mm shot of number 8 celebrating after a point scored. And there's number 14 again, way in the air on this 95mm serving shot. Here is another volley and another. I think this is a serve shot. I really like this shot with the C in the background in the distance there. Pretty cool. This match right here with number 8, and gosh, I can't say that girl's number. That was kind of the last match of the day. Oh, and there's my buddy Ray Soldano. He is also working this match, shooting with his D800, and I think he used the 24-120 Nikon lens f4, and you can find his pictures online at Facebook page Ray Soldano Photography, and I think he has Instagram as well. Here's another serving shot, 119mm with the C in the background. Pretty cool. Number 1, that's who's playing as the teammate of number 8 in this final match. Here's an 86mm shot from the baseline, and here they are celebrating after scoring a point. 187mm, kind of a close-up shot. 92mm shot here. Still same settings, 1/6400, f2.8, and ISO 100. And I did slow my shutter speed down a little bit for this shot where they were speaking to their coach. Still at 1/5000th, forgot to speed it back up, and still at 1/5000th. And this one I had to reduce the highlights quite a bit because I was overexposed. Still at 1/5000th. Hey Phil, set the camera right. 1/5000th again, and another shot at the net. I took this picture of Ray with his D850, slowed down to 1/1600th for this one. Ray had long hair for years and years, and he just got his hair cut short the week of this match. And now, after the Ray shot, I've got the camera back to where it's supposed to be at 1/6400th. This is another baseline shot of some action at the net, and more baseline action at the net shots. Very cool. Number 8 knocking it back across. And I think this is 2 shots right in a row. Here's number 8, and she is definitely knocking it over the net and to the right of UNCW's defender there, number 15. Pretty cool that you can see all 4 players, and look at all the sand up in the air from this. These girls play really hard. 75mm shot, number 8 returning probably a serve that's just been hit their way. And here's another shot of, I guess that's number 1, excuse me. And here she is once again, serving. 77mm shot. And here's another volley. Gosh, didn't I have great light during this match? I'm shooting another volleyball match in a few days. I hope the light is as good as this for that one. 70mm shot with the 70-200, and another 70mm shot with the 70-200. Here's a photo of Ray. Slowed it down to 1/2500th of a second for this 177mm shot across the court to get my good buddy Ray doing his photography thing. Back up to 1/6400th for this 70mm shot of some action at the net. 92mm for this shot of action at the net. Look at all that sand. There's sand all the way up here in the air. And as you can see, this is 2 shots right in a row. I was shooting in the 12 frames per second mechanical shutter mode, which is plenty. And as you can see, it looks like she might be knocking it into her hands, but nope, she knocks it cross court for a point. Here is the match going on the far left, a serve taking place. And here is the coach giving the player a little high five action during a break, 147 millimeter shot. Eventually, I decided that I really preferred the 24-70, so I switched back to the 24-70 and used it for the rest of the match. And here's the first shot back using the 24-70, still same settings, 1/6400th f2.8 ISO 100, a 60 millimeter shot. And you can see Ray across the way. He's standing on his knees. I'm a little bit taller than Ray, plus my old knees couldn't handle that for 2 hours. So I actually sat my butt down right in the sand to make most of these pictures. Here's a serving shot. And when I was taking pictures of the girls as they were serving over to the left, when they were backlit, I slowed my shutter speed down to 1/4000th, and then I zip it right back up to 1/6400th for the rest of play. Another nearly ball compression shot. Really cool. I love the 24 millimeter shots because they're so wide. I wish I had gotten more of this player in the shot, but I failed to do that. But you can see number 8 is shooting it across, and her attempt to block it is going to fail. Here is another shot of number 8, and now number 1, and number 1 again. I've thought about, and Ray kind of gave me this idea of cutting this shot out of her way up in the air about to hit the ball and maybe putting it on some other background to make it look cool. 34 millimeter shot. Celebratory in between points shot there, a little high five going on. And man, what a team number 1 and number 8 were. It was fun to watch them. And like I say, this was the very last match, and most of the other matches were complete. So here's another celebratory shot. So later on in this, the rest of the team actually stood beside the field and watched the girls play, which was really cool. Really cool indeed. I believe that she has hit that, and the defender is up there, and the ball is going to make it past her for a point. Yay! Celebration. Look at Ray in the background. It was cool to catch Ray bokeh-fied in the background during a lot of these shots. And you know, they catch a serve, knock it in the air, then somebody sets it, and then the other one goes up for the smash. And there is that. Look, that ball's compressed a little bit in that shot, I believe. That's cool. That's 2 shots in a row. 12 frames a second, and these are, so each of those, that's 1/12 of a second apart. Here's another shot at the net, 60 millimeter shot, because it was kind of on the far side of the net for me instead of the close side. On the close side, I would open it up to 24. Here's a celebratory shot. You can see some of the other players in the background now. They are watching the match because their matches are done. I like this one too. The only thing I don't like about this shot is these two weren't paying attention. Everybody else is really watching as number 8 is setting the ball, and she's got this sun star in her glasses. Anyway, almost perfect. And I guess she may have been setting it for this right here, for this slam action. There's Ray again. And here is a serve. I slowed down to 1/3200th. Like I say, the serving on the left-hand side of the field was really backlit, so I slowed my shutter speed down and back up to 1/6400th again for another smash. Here is the very last photo. It's a celebratory photo of these two. They've just won the match, and all the rest of the team is watching and celebrating with them. So that turned out really nice. All right, thank you for joining me for beach volleyball photography from right here at the University of Tennessee in Chattanooga. That was a lot of fun. If you enjoyed the content, please take a moment and give me a thumbs up. If you want to see some more, subscribe and hit the bell. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.